Let's think of you as a detective for a minute. Your home is a potential crime scene, and today we're arming you with a guide to investigate one of the world's sneakiest intruders, the bed bug. It's time to uncover the hard evidence.
For most of us, this is where the investigation starts. This is the very first clue. You go to bed, totally fine, and then you wake up with these itchy red welts on your skin. It's unsettling, to say the least, and it immediately gets you wondering, what is going on while I'm asleep?
So, does this whole scenario sound a little too familiar? You're waking up with these strange bites, and your mind just races, right? It immediately jumps to the worst case scenario. It's the number one reason people start digging for answers. And honestly, it's a perfectly logical place to start our investigation. But here's the first twist in our case.
As suspicious as they are, those bites are actually really unreliable evidence. Seriously, having bites doesn't automatically mean you have bedbugs. And, maybe even more importantly, not having bites doesn't mean you're in the clear either. And here's why they're so misleading. You see, everyone's body reacts differently. Some people have absolutely zero reaction to a bedbug bite, none at all. For others, a reaction might not even show up for a few days. And, of course, it could always be a bite from a completely different bug. That's exactly why we can't rely on bites alone. A good detective needs cold, hard, physical evidence.
So, that means our first official step is to create a detailed profile of our suspect. We need to know precisely what they look like in all their different forms and disguises.
Okay, so meet our primary culprit, the adult bedbug. They're this reddish-brown color, they have no wings, and they're about the size of an apple seed. So yeah, you can absolutely see them with the naked eye, but the problem is they are absolute masters of hiding.
But here's where it gets a little tricky. It's not just the adults you're looking for. You also have to be able to spot the younger stages. You've got these tiny, almost see-through nymphs, and then the pearly white eggs, which are literally no bigger than a pinhead. Being able to identify all three is absolutely crucial. And let's get a closer look here. On the left, that's an immature nymph. See how pale and kind of translucent it is? Super easy to overlook. And on the right, you see those eggs, often laid in these hidden little clusters. These are the stages that let an infestation just explode, often completely unnoticed.
Now, this is a really key detail for our investigation. The suspect changes its appearance. It has a disguise. Before a meal, an adult bedbug is flat, kind of like a little brown disc. But right after feeding, its body totally changes. It swells up, becomes long like a torpedo, and turns this bright, obvious red from the fresh blood. Recognizing this change is critical to making a positive ID.
Okay, we've got our suspect profile down. We know exactly what to look for. Now, it's time to get to the crime scene and search for the telltale clues they always leave behind.
And this quote pretty much says it all. You might not find the bug itself right away, but you will find the evidence it leaves behind. They are incredibly messy, and believe it or not, that's our single biggest advantage in this entire investigation.
This right here, well, this is Exhibit A. These are bed bug fecal spots. After they feed, they excrete partially digested blood, and it dries into these dark, rusty, or black-looking spots. I want you to think of them as tiny dots from a black permanent marker, and you'll often find them in clusters. So where do you even start looking for this stuff? Here's your detective's checklist of the hotspots. You need to meticulously inspect mattress seams, the frame of the box spring. Pull the bed out and look behind the headboard. Basically, any tight, dark space near where you sleep. They can even hide in places you would never think to look, like inside electrical outlets. And here's a pro tip for any good detective. You have to rule out other suspects. These spots can look a lot like cockroach droppings, but there is one key difference, and it all comes down to texture. Bedbug spots are dried liquid, so they feel smooth if you run a finger over them. Cockroach droppings are solid waste, so they feel rough and kind of gritty. It's a small detail, but it makes a huge difference. All right, moving on to Exhibit B, the molted skins. As the young nymphs grow, they have to shed their outer shell, their exoskeleton, 5 separate times before they become an adult. And they leave these empty, translucent shells behind, almost like little ghosts of themselves. You're going to find these little ghostly shells in the exact same places you find the fecal spots, often all clustered together. This is why checking mattress seams and behind the headboard is just absolutely essential.
Finding these is another really strong sign that you're on the right track. So, finding individual clues is great. It really builds your case. But the real breakthrough in any investigation is finding the suspect's main hideout. In the world of bedbugs, we call this an aggregation, and it's where all the evidence comes together in one spot. Okay, take a look at this. At first glance, what do you see? I mean, most people would probably say it's a mold or a mildew problem, right? Maybe a sign of a water leak from the apartment upstairs. It looks like a pretty common household issue. But as a detective, you have to look closer. You have to question your first assumptions. Is it really just mold? Or have we just stumbled upon something much, much bigger? And look what happens when you zoom in. That is not mold. That is a massive bed bug hideout. You can see everything here. The live bugs, the dark fecal spots, the molted skins, all in one place. This is the heart of the infestation. This is the criminal's lair. Okay, let's recap. We've profiled the suspect, we've gathered the physical evidence, and we have located the hideout. The investigation is almost complete. Now, we just need to talk about how to officially close the case. And this brings us to the most important rule of all. The fecal spots and the molted skins. Those are your smoking guns. They are extremely strong evidence. But the only way to be 100% certain, the only definitive proof, is to find a live, moving bedbug. So what do you do with all this information? Here is your game plan. First, conduct your own thorough inspection using everything we've talked about. Second, document everything. Take clear pictures of any evidence you find. And third, contact a professional. Share your documented evidence with them so you can get an expert confirmation and figure out a plan of action. You know, you started this investigation with just a suspicion, maybe a few mysterious bites. But now, you're not just guessing anymore. You have the skills of a detective. You know the suspect's profile, you know what evidence to look for, and you know exactly where to find their hideouts. The only question left is, what will you find?